Do you do maintenance on your equipment? Welcome back to Firewood Fella. So this past week, my local dealer at Modern Rentals in Ripon, Wisconsin had a lot of sales going on for Husqvarna and Echo and all sorts of stuff. So the main sale that was really nice was chainsaw chains. Buy one, get one free. So $38, essentially cutting it in half. So and there was a limit of 5 purchases, so 10 chains total. So I got 10 chainsaw chains. I picked up some 2-stroke oil. I got some wedges. I ended up picking up a couple bars, 25% off all accessories, and 50% off all Husqvarna clothing and clothing that they had. So I picked up another sweatshirt, one that's going to be hopefully more for shows and not going to get used for cutting. Bars were 25% off. So I picked up another 16-inch bar for our smaller saw, and I picked up another 24-inch light bar as well, while they were on sale. And we were having some issues with one saw, and I dropped that off, and I found something interesting about it that I want to talk about, along with the big 592 here. So last year I purchased this T540 XP from Modern Rental in Ripon, and it's been a great saw, but we've been having some problems. It's been very difficult to start sometimes, and as lately we've been popping chains off like crazy off the bar. Now I wasn't sure if maybe they gave us the wrong bar and chain set up on the saw or something. I wasn't exactly sure. I had Scott at Modern Rental in Ripon. He's also got a channel called The Greasy Shop Rag. I'll link that down below in the description. Check him out. He does all the maintenance and the fixing of chainsaws and stuff, and he's really interesting to watch, to kind of learn about maintaining your saws and stuff like that. So he had this chainsaw in there in his shop to look at deburring the drivers on the chain, on 2 chains, because over the previous weekend, we popped both of them off, and I didn't have a backup, so I bought another one, and the new one popped off as well. And he said that, Scott said that he was pretty sure that there was an update to the computer module on this saw. So anything that's in the 500 series of Husqvarna that are auto-tuned have a computer in them that you can do updates. Scott plugged it in the computer, did an update, and it fires off a lot better now. And we think we figured out that I'm just maybe not tightening down the single nut as hard as I should be, and the bar is sagging down, and then the chain gets real loose and starts popping off. That's what we're thinking. So I gotta maybe crank on this a little bit harder, because this only has the single nut on it. But this saw's been sitting in the garage since we picked it up yesterday. So it's nice and cold. It used to pull it and it pop, and then it wouldn't stay running. It would just die all the time, and I always end up flooding it out because it just wouldn't want to stay running. But it pops off pretty quickly and it stays running really easy. So I'm real happy with the fix that he did on that, just by updating the computer. Now the reason why I brought this one back in was because I've had this saw for 4 years. It was produced and manufactured in 2021, and I've owned this saw for 4 years. So the reason why I'm wanting to get these saws maintained up a little bit was because we're going to the Hoosier Firewood Hysteria this weekend. So my father and I, along with Chris from In the Woodyard and his brother Ken, are going to be coming down to my father's place Friday morning, and we're going to end up going down to Indiana And I'll be bringing the 592 XPG down there, along with the 550 XPG for my father. And I've been watching a lot of Scott's videos, and he's been talking a lot of fuel issues around here lately. And I know Chris also had an issue with his 572 with it not running right a couple months ago, and it came down to the fuel filter. So I just wanted Scott to take a quick peek at the fuel filter and see if it's worth changing out. And I have the parts right here, and I wanted to talk to you about it because it was kind of interesting from what he's been finding out. And some things that aren't so great. So Scott changed out the fuel filter for me here, and he cut it apart because he wanted to show me something. So the filter itself looks pretty clean, as hopefully you can tell. But you see that one little dark brown spot in the middle. So he cut it apart, and there's this little metal sleeve in here that all it does is hold the fuel filter to the bottom of the tank. But that filter is dirty. Tried to show you what I could about that fuel filter, but it's kind of hard to show on the camera about how clean the outside of it is, and the inside of it between that metal sleeve is pretty bad. And what Scott told me is that there's something interesting in all these 500 series of chainsaws. In the gas line that comes from the tank and goes up, there's a little magnet that's embedded in the gas line. And he's been noticing a lot more saws throughout the Fox Valley here in Wisconsin that's been having metal in the tank. And this saw and our T540, which has been a year old, have had metal in the tank. And we're not exactly sure why, but I'll throw you the picture up here right now. So we don't know if it's a certain gas station. I fill up my gas in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Ripon, Princeton, Omro. I fill up my gas all over the place. Just depends upon where we're going and if I need fuel or not, or whatever the case is. But one thing he knows for sure is that there's no metal in the tank that he gets dropped off at the shop. So maybe it's a pump going bad in the actual gas station tanks or something like that. It's not great to know that there's metal going out in fuel now, and that could be possibly wrecking our saws. So I'm glad that Husqvarna's got a little magnet in the gas line to kind of prevent that from happening and possibly save it before it gets in the filter and clogs up the filter. If it somehow passes into the filter, that ain't good for these saws. Plug the 592 into the computer as well, and it needed an update as well. Doing minor tweaks to the computer on how the saw takes in its fuel. And since I've had this saw for almost 4 years now, and I've done nothing for maintenance besides just sharpening the chain, replacing the bar on it, and blowing out the air filter a couple times. That's about all I've done for this saw in 4 years. And one interesting fact that I found out from him is that he can tell how many hours are on the motor on these saws when he plugs them in. And I was kind of shocked of how many hours I have on this one. I was expecting to have a lot of hours on this saw because this is the saw I grab all the time. Well, it only had 39 hours on this saw, which was shocking to me. But I look at it of, you're not always running the saw every single time you're there. You're cutting, letting the saw idle or turn it off to move rounds away. So, I mean, I guess in 39 hours and almost 4 years, I don't know, is that a lot of hours on a chainsaw? I don't know. I don't think anyone's really cared or tracked it before, but I thought that was kind of interesting. So I got this saw up on the workbench here. I got my Dremel over here. I'm going to touch up the chain, kind of go through it, and just give it a one saw here to make sure that this saw is ready to go. So when we get to Hoosier, we can just get cutting right away. And I don't have to do any sharpening or any touch-up or anything like that. We can just get cutting. I don't remember the last time I've touched this air filter in here. More or less even popped the cover off for that matter. So I just want to take a quick peek at this here and just see how this is looking. So the air filter is dirty. It's got some smuts in it, as Scott would say. I think I might go ahead and call them up here or stop over and see how much an air filter is, just to get one. Now that I got a new fuel filter on there, I should have got a new air filter the other day when I was in there, just to have it. I'm gonna leave this cover off, and we got a bunch of sawdust and everything else in here. So and some oil, it looks like, which is expected from stuff and sawdust and everything. So I'm gonna go in the shop or in my dad's garage and take the air compressor and kind of blow this out and see what that looks like here. And I've never changed the spark plug on this thing either since I've owned it as well. And apparently this scrunch doesn't fit. That's convenient. Spark plug looks a little dirty as well, but it's dry on the tip. But since it is 4 years old, maybe I'll grab another spark plug right away too for it. That way then, new spark plug, new air filter, new fuel filter. So the saw should be ready to go for another 39 to 40 hours hopefully. So I'm going to go pick those up here the next day. I'm just going to put this back in here, and we'll go grab another one later this week here. My father's coming along to the Hoosier Firewood Hysteria this year, and he always likes the lighter saw because he's older, he's in his late 60s, but he does like coming out and helping me out in the yard and stuff like that. So he wants to tag along this year. So he decided he was going to bring the 550 XPG here down there. So I'm going to do the same exact thing as I just did with the 592. Blow it out, check the air filter, sharpen the chain. This chain's kind of getting pretty wore down as well. So I'll grab a spare chain and we'll bring that along down there. Just go through the saw here, tune it up, make sure everything's looking good before we get down there so we can get down there and get cutting right away on Friday night and into Saturday and run some great equipment. So I'll put you on time lapse and you can watch me go through this again here. I look forward to seeing everyone down at Hoosier Firewood Hysteria for all those who are going to be coming. And if those who aren't able to come, stay tuned. There'll be some footage coming out here after we get down there and get back. I'm going to try and edit the video as quickly as I can and get a video or two posted up about that. I know that Splitfire, Wolf Ridge, and Easton Made are the three manufacturers that I know of are going to be down there. It sounds like there's going to be a ton of equipment down there, so I'm going to leave the Brute Force Semi-Pro here in the garage. The camera is right next to it. It's right here. So I'm going to leave that up here just so we're not having to try and load up a trailer and haul that down there and figure out logistics about all that sort of stuff. But that's all I got time for today on Firewood Fella. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.